We begin our coverage in the Philippines, where 5 days after the devastating super typhoon Haiyan struck the country, tensions are understandably high as thousands of people scramble to find food, shelter, and clean water. Reports on Tuesday night were bleak. 8 people are said to have been killed in what eyewitnesses called a stampede to get food in Alagalang in the Leyte province. As hundreds of homeless and displaced citizens lined up to get government-supplied sacks of rice on Tuesday, the 8 people were crushed to death when a wall in the warehouse collapsed during the food delivery, according to the Philippines National Food Authority. However, speaking to the BBC, police spokesman Ruben Sindak denied that there was any widespread disorder, stating that there had been a lot of false rumors fueled by people, quote, in a state of shock, echoing the remarks of Philippine President Benigno Aquino's government, who are attempting to quell concerns about how the country is handling the disaster. On Wednesday, Cabinet Secretary Rene Almendras said he thought the government was, quote, doing quite well to pull the country back from the brink of disaster. And it is a disaster of epic proportions. If you look at some of the photos, for example, these before and after photos show exactly what happened to the islands that make up the Philippines after they were struck by winds as high as 235 miles per hour on Friday. You can see from the time lapse that the eastern Samar province has quite literally been razed to the ground. Houses eradicated and ships flung from sea to land. Now, the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs says the number of people affected is as high as 11.3 million. So far, the Philippines government's disaster agencies have cited the death toll around 2,275, with another 3,500 people injured. But some estimate that the total dead will be closer to 10,000. Jeff, I want to start with you. It's day 5, and we're hearing stories of bloated bodies and the stench from the streets. Can you describe for us what you're seeing on the ground?
Well, again, it's day 5, and although there's improvement compared to the past few days, there's still a lot of things to be done here. There's still unrecovered cadavers laying by the roadside. The stench of death, you can literally smell death here in Tacloban right now. And there's a lot of people in panic right now. There are a lot of hoaxes spreading about certain armed groups going around houses or going around towns trying to seize relief goods. It caused a major panic earlier today in downtown Tacloban. We saw a lot of people crying, hysterically running away from the supposed incident. But upon checking, there was no such incident. Although we did see certain parts of Tacloban are still being monitored closely by authorities because, again, a lot of people are stealing from stores, trying to get food, trying to get water, although there are also certain people who were arrested earlier because they were trying to get computer items, for example. So right now, there's still a bit of a chaos here in Tacloban. Although, if you compare it over the last few days, there's an apparent improvement. Although, from my vantage point at least, it's still not much, and a lot of people are still going hungry here.
And Jeff, I know you touched on this in terms of the awful incident of violence we were talking about, but if you look at my computer, if you just take a quick look, this is an aerial shot, of course, one of the ones we were showing at the top. There you see it kind of before, obviously, it hit and after the typhoon. That gives us kind of a macro perspective. But, Jeff, you know, we mentioned the incident of violence. People are obviously in shock, still desperately scrambling for food. What would you say is the level of kind of unrest? Like, is there violence increasing? Do you anticipate it would increase? Or do you think people are starting to calm down? And are they, feeling relieved?
The thing is, Ahmed, it's really hard to say from at least from ground zero here in Tacloban because there's a lot of rumors going. It's hard to sift through rumors. We've been receiving a lot of unverified reports, especially at night, of subdivisions of houses getting raided for food and water, although we've tried to look for actual victims and eyewitnesses to this. And people are just saying that they've heard it from someone who've heard it from someone, so it's very difficult. Although from what we've seen, we did, at least for the first 3 days, we did see looting, and we did see a lot of people going into department stores trying to get what they can. That has decreased over the last few days because of the military and police presence here. So, but again, it's quite difficult to assess the situation here because there are a lot of things floating here that remain unverified.